There was a sign on a church bulletin board that said, "The peace conference has been canceled due to a conflict." Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, thank you for that introduction. I couldn't have written it better myself. Conflict. There may be some things that you're conflicted about conflict, and I hope to clear some of those up today with 3 points. The first is that conflict is inevitable. Conflict is inevitable. And I'm going to mostly be focusing on interpersonal relationships. You think, well, wait a minute. We never fight. We never argue. If that's the case, then there are 2 possibilities. Either you're a liar or somebody's not showing up. Now, not every 2 people can have exactly the same kind of coherence of their views, such as, you know, they can't be on the same page politically like Carl and myself. But conflict is inevitable. If you have 2 people, then either somebody's not showing up or somebody's lying. So the first thing about understanding conflict is that it's going to be there. So the question is, what are you going to do about it? And Madame Grammarian, that was a deliberate gonna. Just to be clear about that. Now, the second point about conflict is that it's important to understand the difference between a position and a need. What do I mean by that? Oftentimes we argue about how to do something. How to do something is a position. But why do we want to do something? Why do we want to go out for Thai food instead of Mexican? Why would we rather see a rock concert than a bluegrass concert? Why would we rather see the ballet or go to a Warriors game? Those are positions which meet a particular need. And the thing is, it's important to understand this, because if we understand the need which is met by every one of these positions, that is, activities which meet the need, then we can understand that if that need is not being met, it's going to be met in some other way. And where most conflict resolutions kind of go astray a little bit is that they don't fully meet the needs of both people. And when both needs are not fully being met, then the one who's not being met over time is going to sabotage. So the only stable results, the only stable outcomes are ones in which neither party has any incentive whatsoever to change the agreement. And if my needs are fully being met by the agreement, and the other person's needs are fully being met by the agreement, then what incentive do we have? Now that sounds pretty abstract, but that leads to the third point. So first, conflicts are inevitable. Understand the difference between positions and needs. And here's the kicker. Never compromise. Never compromise. What do you mean? Everything I've read about resolving conflict says you have to compromise. If you compromise on your need, that means that that need will not be fully met. And if that need is not being fully met, then there's going to be another conflict over the same issue down the road. Have you ever been in a position where you have the same argument again and again and again, so that you can even give it numbers? Honey, we're having argument number 32. And it's going to resolve exactly the same way. Why? Because those needs aren't being met. Now, here's the other thing, is that when you want to find a truly stable resolution to the conflict, you need to start thinking more creatively. I don't like that term outside the box, because boxes are just so, I don't know, boring. And I kind of like boxes anyway. But there are always more creative ways to meet those needs. And when you are trying to come up with a resolution, first understanding what your need is, and then understand what the other person's need is. That's where these interpersonal communication skills really come in. And when you understand their need, then instead of adopting a position of, I want to get as much for me as possible, adopt a position of, I want to give you as much as possible that meets your need without compromising mine. Now, the thing is that there are so many different ways of meeting those needs, so that once we understand them, we can find different ways to meet them that might meet both of our needs. Here's one example. A friend of mine loved to go out dancing, and her husband hated it. So what's the resolution? Well, she could give up dancing and be resentful, or he could go dancing and just have a totally terrible time. So what was the resolution? Well, they found something that he liked to do, and she went out dancing by herself. Problem solved. Both of the needs fully met. No incentive to compromise on the need. No incentive to break the agreement. So have a lot of solicitude toward the other person's needs. That's the key. Recognize that conflicts are inevitable. Understand what those underlying needs are and make sure that they are met 100%. And you will find that you have much less conflict in your life. And wouldn't we love that? Mr. Toastmaster.